of a little bit that way, like it should be him. Both Biofrost and Bjergsen said that this is the closest that this matchup has been in a very long time. All the stats point that way, the standings point that way, and they're ready.
And as we get into Champion Select and we get a look at the players on our screens here, quick note that CLG's jerseys are for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and $25 of every purchase of one of those jerseys goes to that charity. So if you ever felt like supporting CLG, never been a better time than the present, especially as they need all their fans' support going into this critical matchup against long-standing rivals. And as we've already said, this is one of those times where it really feels real. It feels within reach for those CLG boys. Let's see how it's going to play out as we get into the bans. TF, Sona, Lux, Sejuani, and Karma all taken off the table. No more Sona Taric this game.
All right, my question is then Yuumi. Is Yuumi going to be left up? Biofrost was the first LCS player to get to play it. It resulted in a CLG victory and a very strong bottom lane. This has been one of the power points for CLG in their resurgence in summer that has led to their climb to this point.
Let's see what they want to prioritize here. TSM leaving that open could also be saying, all right, CLG, we dare you to take it. We have a couple of picks on our mind that we would like to take here as well. And CLG will say, all right, we accept that trade. They're going for the Yuumi first and foremost. Very powerful. TSM matching Troll Hover for Troll Hover, and we'll see what they actually want to go for.
Yeah, I think they're going to be very ready for that first pick. And there have been a lot of different answers cropping up for the Yuumi. You can try and go for the all-in with the Nautilus. You can also go for a roaming option. Oh, Yasuo. It could be the Yasuo Gragas.
Oh, yeah. That could be what they're willing to trade the Yuumi away for to make sure they get that. Graves being hovered over to here for a second. The Yasuo locked in for TSM means we're already going to have an exciting game here. And there it is. Wombo combo signed on the dotted line.
We're about to list off all the options, but you only need to list the first one, the all-in possibilities. Now, this could be a flexible setup here. Gragas can be a solo laner. Yasuo can be a solo laner. Both of them can also be bottom laners. They can even be bottom lane partners. So while this is a very powerful combination, one of the reasons it's so highly prized as an early pick is that they are also both flexible and can be moved to other lanes.
Flex picks, such the name of the game in Season 9 here, as Sivir's locked into the bottom lane here for CLG, and Aatrox picked up for a solo lane.
All right, probably going to be going to Ruin in the top side. Technically, Wiggily can play it again. But with that Sivir, the Yuumi bottom lane, this is one of my favorite combinations because Sivir takes care of the minions and Yuumi pokes away the champions.
Yep. Easy division of labor there for the bottom lane duties as TSM. What are you going to go for here? Looks like they're going to go ahead, lock in the jungler before any more bans can come through. Put Akaadian on something that he'll be comfortable on, that he can make plays with. We've talked so much about TSM and their jungler situation so far this split, trying to decide who they want to stick with permanently through Grig, through Akaadian. Grig was the one performing better in regular LCS play before Rift Rivals, but honestly did not have an impressive Rift Rivals showing at all. Akaadian played much better during that tournament, and we'll see if they want to keep sticking with him as time goes on. A very unfortunate ban there coming out from TSM. We'll see how the rest of this goes.
The target ban against Captain Flowers, WoW casting ban. Honestly though, TSM locking in the Jarvan here just adds another possible knockup for the Yasuo. They really want to highlight the Yasuo in this team combination. Gragas can actually proc it from a very long range, and both of those can switch as far as your lane opponents. This is a really good versatile follow-up to the Gragas because you diversify your damage types, whether you want the AP or AD matchup. And it definitely is going to leave CLG guessing, so they're just going to go for some more of the solo laners, banning out the Aurelia. Meanwhile, following it up with that Azir that has become so common for the mid lane for scaling combinations. They know that CLG with a Azir and Sivir backline would go right into their game plan.
Yeah, definitely don't want to allow that kind of duo scaling between the carries. One ban left to go for CLG. As you already mentioned, the flexibility of the Yasuo and Gragas picks doesn't really give CLG a lot of hint as to what role they need to be banning out, so the bans can't quite be as laser focused as they would like, but they will go ahead, continue to target their solo lanes, remove Akali.
All right, TSM gonna have to have their first reveal now.
Or will they? We could just keep on flexing.
Let's see if anybody
That's like a 99% chance top.
All right, yeah, so now we have much, much higher likelihood of the Gragas support, in my opinion.
Yep.
Because it looks like a Kennen top, and that would probably make Jarvan jungle. can technically still be moved around, but I think that looks like the highest probability chance right now. And they're saving that last and final counter pick. So CLG are going to have to, blind pick for PowerOfEvil here. Could be going into Yasuo, could even be going into something like a Gragas, but the Corki is the resulting scaling long-range AP damage.
I will be very surprised to see Kane actually locked in there. Bard being hovered over it as well. Don't think we're going to see a jungle Bard this time around. I'll eat my sock if they play jungle Bard. Let's see, what's it going to be?
I will witness this.
Okay, it's going to be Sylas instead, which means it could very well be
jungle,
the Aatrox jungle.
I'm hoping for it.
Or Sylas jungle. It could be either one.
I'm hoping for the Sylas jungle. I talked about it a lot on the dive before the LCK LPL Rift Rival started playing it, but it is so fun to play to the jungle. The nerfs to Sylas were nerfs to AoE to minions specifically, not to jungle monsters. And yes, they can still flex it around, and we will wait until he gets into lane, but I think this is going to be that jungle Sylas has a really big spike when you can finish your runic echoes and even look to 1v1 solo laners. See if CLG are going to put it to the test here. And the Cassiopeia is the answer for TSM.
Cassiopeia locked in, that machine gun mage that can honestly go bottom herself. Another flex pick for the side of TSM. We'll see how they end up wanting to allocate these as we get down to 10 seconds left to swap these champions and these roles around. So many good ultimates for Sylas to steal here as well. Kennen, Gragas, Cassiopeia. Yasuo one's a little bit more suspect, not quite always going to get value out of that, but the Jarvan ulti also provides a lot.
Cool thing for Sylas, he can combo himself on it, trying to land your chains and spam it. Let's see here, though.
All right, bottom side, it is going to be Zven and Smoothie on the Yasuo Gragas duo in the bottom lane, up against the Sivir Yuumi push power coming out from CLG. Sylas in the jungle. Wiggily on this one. We're going to get to see how it matches up against Akaadian's Jar.
Always a target that you can try and burn summoner spells off of early, because Corki will have follow-up damage. Great thing about Sylas jungle is he's an independent ganker. He can have a lot of threat coming from the side of the mid lane. We're right back into it. Fixed up the mouse issue, no problem. So, okay, we are gonna have Bjergsen on the Cassiopeia. They can still swap it around, but we're expecting the bottom lane of Zven and Smoothie. Yasuo Gragas, that's your target area for the TSM side. Jarvan can do red buff and even go red buff straight down to bottom, because all Yasuo lanes, especially Yasuo Gragas, are gonna depend on all-ins. And that is greatly accentuated by early jungle pressure. So Zven and Smoothie might actually even call Akaadian super early on in this game. We're gonna have to keep track of that path and of the early wards. You can see one already on CLG to see that it is gonna be a top side start for Akaadian. That doesn't mean that he can't make a beeline straight to the bottom side of the map though after getting red.
Talking about bottom side of the map, worth pointing out, something used to be a staple in the meta, very rarely seen these days. Exhaust on both sides of the table here for the bottom laners, because Yuumi doesn't have to take flash. Went for the very defensive combination of both heal and exhaust, because they didn't want to double stack the ignites, but still wanted to work towards that all-in offensively. Zven also on the exhaust, so is some ability to deny some of that all-in potential here.
I also want to note that CLG are very well aware of how this bottom lane is going to work. Biofrost actually spends the extra money for this control ward. You can see level 1 control ward on the minimap, protecting them if Jarvan does go for a level 2 into gank towards bottom side of the map. Not only do they have the blue buff warded up, but they're spending extra money on this vision to make sure they can track Akaadian. He now walks over that Scuttle Crab ward on the top half, so they'll be aware that TSM is trying to split the jungle map right now and isolate that Kennen versus Aatrox where they actually have the range advantage.
Akaadian aware that his opponent is clearing his own Raptors at this point, so Akaadian knows that he's not in any danger right now. He'll pick up his own blue, head back to base. Wiggily will cross river and try to steal away his opponent's blue buff here, make sure it's a blue for blue and he doesn't get 3 buff. Shouldn't have any trouble doing this. TSM's laners aren't in a fantastic spot to respond just yet. You can see Bjergsen working his way over there. Some on my way pings coming out, but the bottom lane of TSM won't be able to really interfere with this at all, and Wiggily should secure it.
Got smite, so he should be able to finish it up no problem.
Yep.
And it is a blue trade. With the collapse there, pretty even setup. Bjergsen is extended in the lane, and we talked about ganking Cassiopeia, getting a summoner early. He's hovering top side though, because he knows where Wiggily was.
Yeah, there's no cleanse or anything here on Bjergsen's Cassiopeia, so can't get out of any CC that might come through. Doesn't really need to, though. The damage isn't threatening enough to make him have to flash out early, but he will lose half HP. Good pressure there from Wiggily.
Yeah, definitely getting a little bit of extra health advantage for PowerOfEvil in the 1v1. On the bottom side, meanwhile, we talked about Yasuo, Gragas lanes depend on all-ins. If you just have the farming going 50-50 here, it's going to be hard as the game goes on because Stixxay and Biofrost are going to try and poke them down under this turret. You see a nice boomerang blade right there. Does land through the minions as well as harassing the champions. Zven is doing a pretty good job so far of actually landing the last hits, making use of his wind wall and the Qs to be able to get a lot of the CS for himself.
And you can see Biofrost constantly attaching to Stixxay and then immediately jumping out as soon as he has the opportunity to attack there with a couple of autos. Very important on Yuumi at the start of the game because autos actually have a lot of weight in these early fights when your spells don't do a ton of damage. Biofrost making sure he's got as much relevance as possible in this 2v2. Sort of just baiting Zven, hey, throw the tornado at me, I'm just a squishy cat. And then he throws it out, it misses, and Stixxay and Biofrost gonna keep that pressure on, almost already having a plate for themselves here 4.5 minutes into the game.
Meanwhile, the map splitting continues here. If you look at your mini-map, Akaadian has just finished up on this top side jungle, left behind a bunch of wards, taken out the Gromp, and is now taking up the Scuttle Crab, so he's really establishing that this Kennen for Broken Blade gets alone time. It is a winning matchup early on there with Kennen trying to abuse the range discrepancy against Aatrox, whittle him down.
Zven trying to use these wind walls as much as possible to negate some of this damage coming out from Stixxay and Biofrost. You can see Biofrost not suffering any consequences for not starting off with any potions here in the bottom lane. The control ward has not been punished whatsoever, still has that standing tall. Bottom lane going well so far here for CLG, but as you already mentioned, Zven's doing a good job keeping the farm as close as could be expected. As Broken Blade will keep this early pressure onto Ruin here in the top lane. Kennen versus anything melee is going to have an edge early on in the match, while PowerOfEvil and Wiggily take the opportunity to go after a very early Ocean Crate.
Yeah, one of the benefits of splitting the map like this is that CLG retain control of everything under this line. That includes Dragon. So they're able to get a rotation for PowerOfEvil on the Corki. They finish it up, and Ocean Drake early on.
Man.
Is going to go a long way to helping every single one of these matchups, not to mention the Sylas in the jungle as well.
You thought Sivir Yuumi was annoying before, just wait until the spam never ends, as Smoothie and Zven are going to have to deal with that underneath the turret now. Turret almost having already lost that second plate. This is what you expect to see, though, when you have double melee champions into a Sivir Yuumi in the bottom side. Akaadian did move into the enemy jungle, wasn't able to find a whole lot there. Gets back onto his own side here, has the Bomby's Cinder first, while Wiggily did go straight for the jungle item upgrade, so has the extra combat power in terms of the Skirmisher Smite, but that's about it. Wards placed down by TSM, also in the CLG jungle. You can see a Trinket Ward on the backside of the red pit, also the Control Ward placed down in this brush that's seldom walked through in the top side of TSM's jungle.
Yeah, we'll see. You have to be very cautious, you know, after trading jungle quadrants early on. You have to assume that there are wards left behind by the enemy jungler. Using sweepers liberally to make sure that your next moves are not over vision. Currently, Akaadian, we saw this invade was supported so well by both Bjergsen and the bottom lane moving in to support him in his efforts to keep this Sylas jungle down. Akaadian is now level 6, first to the power spike, and looking bottom.
And you can see that TSM also did a good job using Broken Blade, advantage over Ruin in the top side to keep Wiggily away from stealing the TSM red buff for a little while longer. He will find his way into that top part of the jungle to steal that away now, but they delayed him enough that he does have about a 3-camp deficit when you compare it to Akaadian's farm in the jungle so far, as Akaadian will once again look to make something happen here in the bottom lane.
Are they?
Stixxay and Bio, level 6 here for Stixxay.
Bjergsen's headed down too. This is a 4-person TSM row.
Here we go. Smoothie going in. Stixxay keeping himself alive for now. Bio trying to keep him alive. Zven's going to be outplayed and taken down. First blood over to CLG, and TSM's thirst will be punished. 2 down as CLG CLG look for more. The Yuumi projectile prowls its way onto the TSM health bars, but they won't take the fight any further.
That is huge for CLG. They counter the dive. They do use both teleports to do it, so you can see on the top side, Broken Blade will now push in the minions for TSM, but this is so big for CLG. Smoothie goes down, he ignites early so that the heals from Yuumi are going to be less effective, but he has to get out because the tower shots and the double teleports are coming in. Stixxay dodged that Q from Zven, dodging some of the extra critical damage there, and since Ruin's able to jump over the wall on Aatrox, they pick up the second kill for CLG, resulting in some more money to try and even up this matchup, because as we talked about before the replay, Broken Blade did get time to push that minion wave into the tower and get a turret plate.
TSM might have saved a death there if Smoothie tanked one more turret shot. He did just immediately walk out of the range of the turret, still could have absorbed one more of those. Doesn't matter now because that's not the way it played out for TSM, but just seemed a little too trigger happy.
And after that play, the gold is very, very close to even because of the extra money. It's just that it's located in such different places, right? We're going to have the Kennen here be the big power point for TSM. Meanwhile, bottom side just got a big boost for CLG. We'll see if they can have any sort of return ganks, because the level 6s coming in are very dangerous. TSM now has Yasuo level 6. Smoothie will be short to follow. And without summoner spells, CLG's bottom side have to play much more defensively than they've been able to play thus far in the matchup.
Those double defensive summoner spells on Biofrost did wonders for keeping Stixxay alive against that bottom lane dive of TSM. Bjergsen moves up and tries to steal away that large chicken, but he won't be able to. Broken Blade defending against Ruin, who does have the red buff up top here on the Aatrox, makes him a little bit scarier in these 1v1s, and Broken Blade's definitely getting the better of him here for now. Akaadian on the bottom side, just trying to clear out some vision around the river. Scuttle Crab going to be spawning here in a moment. And look at all that TSM vision placed down in the bottom side of the CLG jungle, creating a path for Bjergsen to once again slither down into the bottom lane and try to make a play. Wiggily is here, but they're trying to collapse onto him. Bjergsen able to land the poison. Stixxay and Biofrost running themselves away. They don't have a way out of this one. Wiggly's looking to turn it back around, at least make it a 1-for-1. Bjergsen's going to be taken down. Broken Blade into the fight. As Zven takes down Stixxay, CLG have made it an even trade so far. TSM, 5 men bottom, trying to back away. Nice dodge away from the prowling projectile from Broken Blade. Akaadian disengaging now. Zven gonna be under pressure. Shield about to come back up. It will barely protect him, but it will not do enough. And CLG will have a 2-for-1. Kobe, can they make it free? I think they might. Akaadian gets hit by the big one, and PowerOfEvil brings CLG to 5 kills.
The Sylas jungle with the chase down there gets the kill on Zven with the chains, and you can hear the crowd. There is new life in the CLG end of this rivalry.
The last time CLG beat TSM, I still lived in the middle of a cornfield, Kobe. It has been a hot minute since this team really brought the threat to TSM, and it is an incredible thing to watch as CLG will now go for their second elemental Drake of the game. That one's picked up no contest, and they have a solid early lead.
All right, let's take another look at how this happened, because this time around, the teleport discrepancy is in favor of TSM. They teleport in, they go for the all-in, but Wiggily takes down Bjergsen with the Sylas. We talked about trying to 1v1 solo laners, and that means it's a counter kill for CLG, and TSM are in enemy territory. So while they're walking away here, they're taking so much damage from PowerOfEvil's Corki. Constant rockets hitting, and Wiggily finds Zven under the tower, so he gets to chunk him out to 50%. And ends it with the chains there. Then the prowling projectile finds the slow onto Akaadian, and PowerOfEvil landed, must be like 8 rockets in a row from the Corki to be able to chunk down TSM members as they were leaving CLG territory. DPS is definitely going to be one of the key factors here as CLG pull ahead with the first real significant lead.
Ruin trying to fight up against Broken Blade here. Akaadian waiting in the lane. Walked up through the brushes, trying to set up the lane gank. Wiggly's going to show up now as well. This will turn into a 2v2, and it is going to get sloppy because Broken Blade has ultimate. This is so powerful in these 2v2s. Ruin immediately going to pop the World Ender, going in, but that was way too soon. You don't revive automatically anymore, my friend. The PowerOfEvil shows up, mop and bucket, janitorial duty in the top lane.
Yeah, definitely a mistake from Ruin there. Not the old Aatrox where you get to revive before you get a kill. So he definitely gets annihilated, but because PowerOfEvil roams up, CLG still get a kill on it, and he's going to try and push top while Wiggily rotates down to the mid lane to finish that one up.
More plate money going over to CLG now as well, as PowerOfEvil collects some of that, puts some auto attacks into Broken Blade here too. A couple more auto attacks might get those plates. Zven still farming up here on the bottom side. Let's take another look as Ruin goes in.
Yeah, Ruin has the confidence of his teammates behind him, but Kennen ultimate and Akaadian, really good heads-up play with the Jarvan. He goes all in, uses all of his abilities to burst down and trade 1-for-1 for TSM. CLG definitely still happy to get that kill, and as we said, they also are able to push out both of the lanes. Bottom side, they're actually even getting some work done on the tower plates as CLG do a lane swap to finish top side with Stixxay and Biofrost.
Turret plating does go down, so no more of those to be picked up. But as we crest that 14-minute mark, checking in, 2,500 gold, a very commanding lead here for CLG. Next Elemental Drake coming up will be an Infernal, which will go a long way for a squad that has a high damage top laner and jungler as well. Fouling projectile fired off, and Bjergsen knows he can't stick around for that.
Yep, the Sivir Yuumi doing their work, especially in a 2v1 scenario. There's going to be a lot of danger there for Bjergsen. Constant harassment comes out. You can see the rest of TSM are trying to defend with some ward placements of their own. Smoothie heads up. They're also calling in Akaadian. Duo roaming with the jungle and support to make sure that Cassiopeia is not the victim of a dive. Sylas comes through, though. Brute force from Wiggily.
Wiggily showing up, 2 levels up over Smoothie's Gragas, so not too afraid here. Has also stolen away the Jarvan ulti. Pretty big power in that one, but everybody walks away.
Yeah, it gets insane with Jungle Sylas after the first couple clears because you start getting cooldown reduction with your jungle item, with the parts of your proto belt here. It really does turn into a real solo lane level threat, even in professional play. And you can see all the respect is being given. You annihilate jungle camps. One of the changes when they nerfed lane Sylas that was given back to jungle Sylas is that you get 2 charges of your passive that can stack up when you use abilities. So you don't have to worry about auto attacking in between all the time. You can rush in with a double E or something like that and use 2 abilities, then still feel good about having value of the rest of the stacks of your passive. It really does, you know, make the clear a bit smoother, but also we saw it on the top side there with his little exchange. A lot more damage is available. Rift Herald started up, but they might have to back off here. Doing some ward duty first.
And bottom side, Ruin's in some trouble, trying to get away from the turret. TSM committing so many people to this one. Ruin has no way out. He's stuck in the Cataclysm. He tries to escape. Gonna need another dash. Akaadian has to try to tank up the turret here a little bit longer. Just buy a little bit of time. Ruin again, just keeping everyone down here. TSM will find their kill, but it comes at the cost. Oh no.
That's a mistake.
Shelly lost her patience, and CLG lost their opportunity for the free objective. Stixxay will continue applying the pressure here in the mid lane. PowerOfEvil will restart Shelly, but that's the trouble of trying to keep it aggroed so far to the edge of its patience range. A bit of an error there.
Yeah, definitely going to be a big delay on them. They still push in mid, and they're transitioning over to the Infernal Drake. Is that delay enough to give TSM the opening? If they catch them 4v5 at this dragon, it could be disaster.
That could be one of the biggest mistakes of the game, actually, as we see the consequences of this play out. Infernal Drake immediately jumped on by TSM. Nice pickup there, punishing their opponent's lack of readiness. Prowling projectile moving forward. Ruin coming in from the side. Remember, no World Ender ready to go. Wiggily has stolen the Kennen ultimate. There is no hourglass on this Sylas, though, no stopwatch, so he is vulnerable if he goes into the middle of everyone. But speaking of vulnerable, there goes the Gragas. Wiggily going forward, the stuns come down, the damage goes out. Wiggily thrown up into the air, here comes Zven. TSM trying to turn it around, and Wiggly's gonna be shut down. One more auto attack does it, and Ruin's in Reset City. Broken Blade runs off to the side, and CLG are still pushing forward.
Yeah, actually a fairly closely fought fight there when Zven gets a counter kill, but CLG have the Rift Herald. PowerOfEvil stuck around and finished it up. That Rift Herald, with the extra person advantage on the map, they can run her right into the inhibitor turret.
I doubt they will get this turret, but they will at least make sure they get some damage into it there. Shelly will take off half the HP before she's picked up by Smoothie. CLG have lost the Infernal, but they go for the fight out.
Look at this. Wiggily with the jungle Sylas with Yuumi attached. Biofrost lands the Prowling projectile into the ultimate, which secures them the first kill. Then they go all in with the chains as well. Knockup from Zven allows a counter kill from TSM. However, with that commitment, Ruin is able to chase him down, and that is going to be another extra kill for CLG on the exit.
CLG making those plays happen still. Look at the items coming online too. Proto Belt done for Wiggily. PowerOfEvil up to 2 items. Rapid Fire Cannon allowing that Corki to easily get the proc of the ultimate plus the proc from the Spellblade on the Trinity Force means really reliable poke from a very long range from this guy. Top side, Bjergsen will go up there to answer the push coming out from PowerOfEvil, but TSM seemingly just not making these fights work this game. CLG appears to be the more coordinated squad. Wiggily always on the front lines. You were talking about Jungle Sylas, the champion, earlier. I want to talk about Jungle Wiggily, the player. This guy has been one of the reasons we have seen so much life breathed into CLG for the first time in what seems like forever.
Really has brought a new face to the team. It was off the back of the Sejuani early on in the season, now showing his power on a carry jungler. And Ruin here on the bottom half of the map. Aatrox took his licks early on in lane phase, as you have to versus Kennen. Got focused a lot, but now be able to push out because of the extra map pressure from CLG, and they do get that bottom turret. A little bit of extra gold in their pockets. This is a fairly significant gold lead, but Stixxay!
Oh, Stixxay had a really nice spell shield there. He's gonna flash away and keep himself alive, but only for a moment. Counterattack damage coming out now. Zven gonna be taken very low, keeping himself alive. The tornado does it, but Ruin's able to find the reset in time. Shut down over for Bjergsen. That's gonna pop PowerOfEvil, and finally, TSM gets a fight.
That's actually a huge opening for TSM. Getting those 2 kills and the shutdown. PowerOfEvil goes down, Stixxay goes down. Those are the 2 carries. TSM now have run of the map, and Baron's available, but there's no teleport for Bjergsen. They would have to have the Cassiopeia there. Cassiopeia is one of the biggest threats for a Baron towards the later stages of the game. They don't really have anyone to take it up, and he had to go back to base. So here's another look at the all-in onto Stixxay. Really nice combination there from TSM. They get the knock-up combo. Zven here trying to get away to live so Aatrox doesn't get a reset, but Ruin chases him down. Gets the extra kill there, and after he secures that, we're into a 1v1!
Meanwhile, that 1v1 is gonna turn into a solo kill for Wiggily. He tries to get away from Akaadian, turning it right back around, able to find some vamp. The Kingslayer! It's Jamie Lannister, baby! Wiggly's going right back in after Akaadian. PowerOfEvil shows up for the kill, and there you go! CLG 2-for-0.
Never underestimate the Sylas health gain off of Kingslayer. Coming from the jungle, coming from the solo lane, he's able to get the 2v1. Challenging Smite there, used super effectively after to ensure that he's not going to get bursted down, and he can wait out the cooldowns. Now it's going to be Baron for CLG.
CLG, a 21-minute Baron against TSM. 6,000 gold ahead. Let's take another look at this man's plays.
Well, we said he can 1v1 solo laners, Captain Flowers, and he does it with the Kennen ultimate. Gets extremely low there, kind of on the knife's edge, but you want to use that heal very low. Akaadian then goes in to try and answer. He lands the shield off of the second half of the chains there. You buy enough time for your Kingslayer to come back up. Huge burst healing. That means Jarvan's got nothing left in the tank, and he was able to use another charge of the challenging smite. It's a very important part of this jungler. Having 2 of those charges saved up allows Wiggily to turn everything in CLG's favor. Now with the Baron buff, they can reset. TSM trying to start a sneak on this dragon, though.
Ruin over the wall, trying to find Broken Blade. TSM going after the Drake. They will find it, but at what cost? Wiggily has Hourglass. If he goes in the middle with a big ulti, that's going to be a Cataclysm onto 2. Zven should be taken very low. Guardian Angel proc off the side. Broken Blade going to be fighting up against Ruin. Resurrection comes out. Zven goes down again. Ruin flashing away to stay alive in the 1 versus 2. 2 dead for TSM. CLG on the push.
And that's not just 2 kills. It's 2 kills with a Baroned up CLG. That means your base is forfeit. They can immediately push down mid lane and at least take an inhibitor.
CLG 5 men strong, pushing it into the tier 3 turret. Still damaged from Shelly's earlier charge. Bjergsen and Broken Blade have no choice but to watch on as the inhibitor takes that damage. Wiggily goes for the Cassiopeia ultimate. TSM have enough help now nearby with Smoothie to try to defend this one. Wiggily goes for the Petrifying Gaze, not quite gonna find it, but he buys enough time for the auto attacks to take the inhibitor down. PowerOfEvil continuing to play side lane duty on this Corki. You can see him taking about half the HP off the tier 3 turret. CLG reinforcements regroup on him, and the push will not stop.
All right, CLG relentless here. You can see the power of this Training Force Corki. Teleport from TSM. They're making a play.
The flank's showing up, but Zven's at 200 HP. Wiggily is almost able to kill him with the help coming out from Biofrost's Yuumi. Wiggily escaping through the bottom side now. He knows he's running over to Ruin. Bjergsen gets hit by the Prowling Projectile. Wiggily doesn't want to go any closer to this one for now. Wiggily having stolen the Kennen ultimate away. Another big team fight tool there. No flash available on this guy. Hourglass also still down for the time being. CLG putting the pressure onto the tier 3 top inhibitor. Let's see if they can manage to get themselves anything here, or if they're just gonna play time buyer as it's time for CLG to smash the final remaining inhibitor turret. The TSM base is in shambles.
40 seconds left on the Baron. They have another wave to work with too. CLG are sticking around to get these inhibitors. Smoothie goes in.
Smoothie tries to make it happen, but he's not gonna do it. Wiggily tries to go in now. Pop of the ulti defensively. It's 2 slicing maelstroms. It's Zven cut down and Broken Blade on the run. TSM can't get anything from this one. They're gonna lose 2. They might lose 3. They do get the kill back onto Stixxay. Bjergsen in retreat is cut down by PoE. And CLG are on to the Nexus turrets. TSM are stuck in the fountain. And for the first time in 1,176 days, TSM's Nexus will fall to CLG.
TSM have owned this matchup for years, Captain Flowers. CLG finally able to strike back and in commanding fashion off of one of the newer additions to their lineup, Wiggily. Summer of Wiggily. This has really been the story for them. Previously on the initiators like Sejuani playing the front line, but the full spotlight this time around. Carry jungler, 2v1 outplays, bringing the Sylas jungle to the LCS.
And while Wiggily was putting on an S-tier performance, I don't want to let that downplay the rest of the team either, who are hitting A-tier performances themselves. Bottom side, Biofrost never died on Yuumi the entire game. 3-0 and 11 on this champion, 14 out of 18 KP. The man was doing exactly what he needed to at all times. Stixxay keeping everything pushed up. PowerOfEvil playing the side lanes. Ruin doing what he needed to do. As you said, you got to lane against Kennen. That doesn't feel very good. He survives it. He's relevant in the team fights. CLG look like a damn good team.
Yeah, I mean, PowerOfEvil put out so much damage on Corki. One of the critical plays was that bottom lane turnaround where they were able to fight off TSM and allow Ruin to get back in the game without that teleport timer being up. Huge mid-game turn there for them. And they've been able to do it. 25-minute victory for CLG. They push up. They are still in first place. And they've finally gotten that monkey off their back with this rivalry. It's been so long.
3-year monkey riding their back, pulling their hair every time they're up against TSM. For CLG, for the org, for the players, for the fans, it has to feel so good, so vindicating to finally beat TSM here again. And this is a CLG that fans can be proud of. For more on their win today, Pastry is standing by for an interview. Take it away.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Wiggily and Stixxay from the victorious CLG. It's been over 1,000 days, but finally the counter has been reset. Stixxay, how's it feel?
It's just like a big relief, and I haven't had like a crowd cheer for me like this in such a long time. So
well, they'll cheer for you now. I mean, you were in a lot of ways the player to move on to CLG and defeat TSM and finally give CLG the championships. How does it feel now to have a team that maybe feels like it can make another deep run?
I don't know. It's just been a long time, and I can just say it's the same thing as winning. It's just like a huge relief, and it's really nice to just have a really good team, and I'm really grateful for that.
And of course, part of your good team is Wiggily here, one of the newest members of CLG. Wiggily, what's it like, being on such a successful CLG and being one of the younger members of such a storied organization?
I mean, it just feels good to like watch these guys win. You know, finally, I got the win for him. But I don't know. It's just like I don't know. It just feels really good because I know like CLG has like kind of a lot of negative like haha CLG memes behind them, but I think we kind of like proved them wrong, I guess, today. So it feels really good.
And then on a pick, nonetheless, in Sylas, very strong, aggressive jungler, more of a cutting-edge pick. As people are talking about you as maybe one of the best junglers in the league, how do you compare yourself to the likes of Zven and the other players around you, especially because you are a newer player to the league?
I don't know. I don't try to compare myself to other players too much, giving the answer like that. But I just think that it just depends on like how well you mesh with your team, I think, a lot of jungle. So I think we're meshing a lot better this year. So things just work out that way.
Well, team is good enough to beat TSM and retain first place. What does the rest of the season look like now for CLG? Are you guys going to stay on top, riding out towards playoffs?
Well, it definitely feels nice to be in first, but the whole time we've just been tied for first. So my goal is to obviously be the undisputed first. And yeah, I think we'll just try to keep it up in the next few weeks, and maybe we can be the sole place #1.
Well, looking good so far. Thank you so much for chatting with me. We're going to send it back to the State Farm Analyst for more on CLG's historic victory.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Wow, this CLG roster. I mean, what a difference between spring and summer. And to come into this game against TSM with all the history that's been built into this rivalry, for how long it's been since these players have gotten, or this org has gotten a win over TSM. Stixxay, the only member of the team who was there the last time that CLG took TSM down. And they get the victory today, and they do it in fairly decisive fashion.
With only a single player swapped out, and this roster is firing on all cylinders now because their experimentations with draft are crazy. Now, you got the Sylas jungle, like Kobe was saying, that we had it at Rift Rivals over in Asia, but other than that, I mean, they are just very explosive and aggressive around every single lane to the point where it might even be their detriment, but you don't want them to stop.
That's
you
true.
want them to keep going, so it doesn't matter if they made the mistakes, keep going.
I mean, the draft is almost meta across the board, aside for that Sylas, which is becoming there. We've seen a ton of Corki today. Sivir Yuumi's always been super strong, and Aatrox is one of the best top laners. It's really TSM who do all the weird stuff here, and I was excited for it when I saw it. I was like, all right, you got the Gragas, Yasuo bot lane, you got the Cassio in the mid against Corki, which is supposed to be a good matchup.
Good counter.
You know, you got the dominant in the top side. And I thought, like, this draft looks like it should work on paper, but when you get into game, it just, the execution wasn't there.
I think they overthought this draft 20 times over for
What?
TSM.
Huh?
Yeah. So you already have Yasuo Gragas. You have a sick jungle mid duo, right? You don't need to do anything else, but instead they take away the Jarvan early on to try to deny one of Wigglily's best champions. Now he gets a Sylas that's also very viable. And to top things off, why are you giving Yasuo not to be?
You're the guy who always wants teams to experiment, and now they experiment.
Yeah, but this is too much. This is going too far.
It makes perfect sense. Roll the replays. Just
this
look
is what doesn't make sense. Why not Zven on Cassiopeia? In spring, Zven's Cassiopeia was sick. We were giving him MVP multiple times when he was busting that out in bottom lane. Bjergsen can play Yasuo mid. Why not do that interaction and then have way more pressure in mid?
Right, so just fill out the comp for me. This is with the Gragas going to the jungle, and you forfeit the Jarvan pick. Who's then supporting Cassiopeia?
Whatever support you need. It doesn't matter what Nautilus, Nautilus, Cassiopeia, whatever.
Just getting some clarity on that. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because we have been asking teams to try things. TSM does it. Maybe it was a bit too much all in one game, akin to some of the other games we saw at Rift Rivals where teams are throwing 4 new picks up onto the Rift, and then, hey, it's hard to decipher or determine what was or wasn't, the ultimate pitfall for the team. But as you mentioned, Mark, with these picks, TSM throws a lot of aggression into the bot lane. They have strong laners across the board. Kennen can do work himself against the Aatrox. The Cassiopeia's got a handle on the mid lane.
Smoothie just walks away. I don't know what he's doing. He could have taken at least one more turret shot and thrown more damage into this. He bails out of the play instantly, and they're unable to actually finish this play off.
Bjergsen was a little late to the play, too.
Yeah, well, he has TP up, and not the TP.
This one really blew. Like, Bjergsen flashed miasma on a Sivir that has no flash inside a Cataclysm. Don't get it. Sure, you get the kills right after, and then you back away, but Broken Blade doesn't go with his team. Instead, they take a weird route. The minion wave is coming anyways, and look at this. Zven and Smoothie greed out for a plate. They should have just left, and instead they get run down and give even more kills. Like, what is going on here? I think fundamentally TSM dropped the ball. And it might have snowballed from playing so many new champions that you just get confused.
I don't know. That's 100% execution. I think it's total hindsight bias to go back and say this was a bad draft when you have 2 potential dives you can turn and you can blow this game open. I think that you played this correctly.
It's not bad. It's just asking for way too much.
Well, but to Mark's point, because I want to actually, I like this point. I want to dive into this. To Mark's point, with this draft and those two plays being executed on correctly, TSM comes out with kills to 0, or at least with advantages,
some trades probably,
right?
but...
Maybe some trades, right? The whole game from that point looks different. And so to that degree, it is very hard in a hindsight perspective to go, well, okay, the plays didn't work, therefore the champion select feels bad or can be blamed because the picks didn't come off the ground.
By that same token, start from the draft and you say, who's played more of these champions? Bjergsen has more Yasuo, Zven has more Cassiopeia. Why not just change it that way?
And I think that's a totally fair criticism. If you want to say to TSM, hey, I question the distribution of champion to player, I would have preferred polling a G2 or polling an Origin, right? Send your ADC send Zven on the Cassiopeia to the mid lane and send Bjergsen down to lane bot lane. Okay, fine. But then again, it's less a criticism of the comp and more a criticism on how the team chose to play.
Yeah, I don't think they got too cute in draft. I mean, if you want Bjergsen on that, sure, that's a minor change to make. But I think the idea of actually flexing the Gragas and the Yasuo to make your mid and jungle duo seem not great, so that way they pick the Corki into it, which is supposed to be safe versus that, because you can Valk away, and then you actually get a strong matchup still with the Cassio. I think it's actually a smart draft.
My issue also comes down to you're not getting value out of flexing the Gragas. By locking the Jarvan early right away, it's immediately obvious it's going to be Jarvan jungle and Gragas bottom. Like, that's where Gragas is going now. He's not going top. He's not going mid. It's 100% support Gragas, and then you know it's jungle Jarvan. So they've already locked in so many critical pieces to make Yasuo work that the rest is very easy for CLG to draft.
But you already saw the bot lane, so it's fine to give away what your bot lane is, and then you get to still get the counter pick in mid. So you still get to get counter picks in bot and mid. It's actually good.
You know what I love? I love that we're having heated discussions around champion select, because a week or two ago, when all the teams were all picking the same thing,
Azir,
this didn't happen, right? There was no discussion around what is right, what is wrong, and hey, as the teams figure it out, so are we. But I do want to return to a CLG perspective, because we can talk about what went wrong for TSM, and hey, they weren't impressive necessarily in this game. CLG was, and there was a lot that they were doing well, and in particular, Wiggily was on fire.
So
yes,
good.
He pulls out the Sylas and introduces it to the LCS in the jungle here for Summer Split, pulling off some 1v1s, even 1v2s in situations like this.
What blows my mind out of Wiggily is that in spring, we were making rankings of junglers, and he was always like 8, 9, or 10 for all of us unanimously. And suddenly now, he is just an absolute stud in the jungle, picking whatever champion he feels like, doing well for the team, synergizing, and then making the game-winning play on 1v1. So 1v1 in Bjergsen, which, by the way, it takes a lot of guts for you to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take the 1v1 against Bjergsen right now and win it.
Yeah, I mean, he was a stud in Academy, and that's who we were waiting to see in spring. He's finally showing up now off Trundle Sejuani duty and stomping kids on the Sylas jungle. So I am so excited for the CLG squad, and I think that they have a really bright future ahead of them.
Yeah, massive victory for CLG. 1,176 days since they had last beaten TSM. That is no more. Reset the clock. It's now 0. Game 5, though, has Optic challenging FlyQuest. See who comes out on top when we return.